So what I'm hearing is that despite all of this talk that Donald Trump and the Republican Party have about driving down energy costs, their first decisions are actually to drive up energy costs, including prices at the pump across the United States. And that has knock-on effects across the entire economy, right? These prices are not just contained. They're not just hiking prices on oil and gas. Oil and gas prices will then hike up prices on groceries and pretty much any good that gets transported, as well as housing and construction, correct?
Yeah, that's
MAGA
right.
Veteran versus AOC. And this is the moment she did not see coming. Alexandria Ocasio Cortez tried to corner him on energy prices, but this veteran flipped the script and exposed the entire green agenda in front of Congress. It was sharp, it was brutal, and it was strategic. If you're tired of watching conservatives sit quietly while the left lectures America, hit subscribe right now, because this is what pushing back actually looks like.
From Michigan's 10th district for 5 minutes for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Apparently, Democrat gaslighting produces zero emissions. But what does their radical agenda mean for constituents in my districts and your districts who pay more at the pump, who pay more for groceries? Folks in Southeast Michigan have experienced their jobs being extinct, being shipped to other states, being shipped to other countries because Green New Deal woke policies do not work in the real world. Let's look at this from a 30,000-foot view. Over the past 4 years, every American has footed a higher gas bill, higher energy costs, and rising prices to keep their cars running and their homes heated. Under the Biden-Harris administration, they totally bent over to the radical left. We stopped producing cleaner, affordable energy in America to fit a narrative that only serves coastal elites and the rich in New York and California. What did this lead to? Our strategic petroleum reserves hit lows we haven't seen since I was a baby. That meant U.S. relying on energy that was unclean, energy that I would note are from dictators and despots in Moscow and Beijing and Tehran. Here's the inconvenient truth for my friends on the left. Energy produced and developed here in America is cleaner, it's safer, and it doesn't threaten our national security. In fact, it bolsters it. And what's worse, relying on our adversaries for energy means American jobs go down, not up. My constituents in the Detroit area are all too familiar with this, seeing the reckless policy effects of the EV mandates. Another failed policy billable to the Biden administration is importing sour crude, which has funded our adversaries. And we talk about infrastructure investments on the left side. Well, how about shutting down the Keystone Pipeline, which got rid of 11,000 union jobs? Now, the Democrats' Green New Deal agenda is the grim reaper for American jobs and actually clean energy. Being able to actually move forward into a future where we can all have cheaper, safer, cleaner energy is our goal. All of the above is the approach. Last year, I spoke on the House floor about how Biden's war on LNG was going to harm Michigan specifically. We have 1.1 trillion cubic feet in underground storage, which is one-eighth of the entire nation's natural gas storage capacity. Given DTE and consumers' baseload requirements that are increasing over the years versus the regulations in Michigan, we've been dealing with heavy-handed restrictions on building additional natural gas facilities and the supporting infrastructure requirements that we need to convey that safely with less power outages across the state. With a Republican House, Republican Senate, and White House, what can this Congress do to scale up natural gas as a reliable source? Again, Mr. McCown.
Well, there are several things we can do. Number one is we can stop the war on fossil fuels. We can have revised permitting. We can invoke public-private partnerships, loan guarantees. Some of the very same things that have been done for the renewable industry could be done to expand our natural gas or other fossil fuel industry, too. It should be a level playing field for everybody.
We all want clean air. We all want clean water. We all want to reduce pollution. But we also don't want to send our countrymen to the poorhouse trying to pay for sunshine and rainbows.
So here's what happened. AOC opens up by painting this picture that Republicans, especially under Trump, talk about lowering energy costs, but secretly want to raise them. She lays it out dramatically. Higher oil and gas prices mean higher grocery prices, higher housing costs, higher construction costs. She tries to frame it like Republicans are about to trigger an all-economy price explosion. And on the surface, that sounds persuasive. Energy touches everything. Transportation, food supply chains, heating homes, it's connected. But here's where the veteran from Michigan steps in and completely changes the tone of the room. Instead of playing defense, he goes straight on offense. He says basically, Democrat gaslighting produces zero emissions. That line alone tells you he's not there to nod politely. He flips the narrative and points out that over the last 4 years, Americans have already been paying higher gas bills and higher energy costs. Not hypothetically, not theoretically. Actually. Then he ties it to jobs. Michigan, Detroit, manufacturing. He argues that green mandates and EV pushes haven't strengthened working class communities. They've hollowed them out. Factories relocate. Jobs disappear. Meanwhile, everyday Americans pay more at the pump. And then he goes for the national security angle, which is where AOC's argument starts to wobble. He says when America reduces domestic production, we don't magically eliminate demand. We just import more energy. From who? Countries that don't like us? Countries that don't share our environmental standards. Countries that definitely don't share our values. That's the uncomfortable part of this debate. Because if American-produced energy is cleaner than energy from adversarial nations, then restricting U.S. production doesn't reduce global emissions. It just shifts profits overseas. And he makes that point clearly. He also brings up the Strategic Petroleum Reserve hitting historic lows and the Keystone Pipeline shutdown costing thousands of union jobs. Whether you agree with every number or not, the broader argument lands. Policies have consequences. AOC frames the debate as Republicans raising prices. He reframes it as Democrats restricting supply. That's a totally different battlefield. And then he pushes the all-of-the-above energy approach, natural gas, domestic production, permitting reform, public-private partnerships, not just renewables, not just fossil fuels, everything. The key moment here isn't shouting, it's positioning. AOC tries to argue moral high ground, climate, cost increases, corporate greed. The veteran argues practicality, jobs, security, affordability. And politically, practical arguments tend to resonate when people are staring at grocery receipts. Here's the bottom line. Energy policy isn't just about climate theory. It's about how much a single mom pays to fill her tank. It's about whether factories stay open in the Midwest. It's about whether America controls its own supply chain. You can disagree with the tone. You can debate the specifics. But what you saw here was not a conservative folding under pressure. It was a conservative redirecting the entire premise of the argument. And that's why moments like this matter. If you want more breakdowns, where we cut through the talking points and focus on what actually happened, subscribe. Because the energy debate isn't going away. And neither is this fight.